What up, y'all? It's your boy Kevonstage. I have my good friend Amber P. Riley in the studio today, and we're talking about her new, what should I call it? Foundation project?
It's a new movement.
Yes. Called Unmutiny.
Yes, Unmutiny.
Okay, Amber, tell the people what it means.
So, Unmutiny is basically black people hitting the unmute button. I'm just saying how I came up with the hashtag when I was thinking about it. Black people hitting the unmute button, telling their stories, and as we know, ending black silence will start a mutiny in this entertainment industry.
Yes.
And so basically it's a black woman founded and led movement intended to, 1, end black silence in the entertainment industry, 2, hold power structures accountable for suppressing black experiences, and 3, confronting microaggressions with courage. Phase 1 of this movement is literally black people in any form of entertainment, whether you're a background actor, whether you work in crafty, whether you are a hair and makeup person, if you're an agent, if you are an actor, if you are a singer, a dancer, any form of entertainment in any industry where you are contracted or employed. Hashtag Unmutiny is there to listen and collect your stories. And so phase 1 is you using your platforms, Twitter and Instagram, and hashtag Unmutiny and tell your story. And I promise you we're doing something so amazing with all of these stories that is really going to make a change in Hollywood. I can't necessarily say what it is.
Okay. So what made you decide, because you already been out in the streets. I got my protest information from you. But what made you say I want to do this specifically? Because you know there's a lot of things already happening, but I think this is a different thing, and I think it's a different necessary thing. But what made you be like, I want to do this right now?
Well, I had to figure out where I fell on the spectrum of activism. Okay. And I think the way that you do that is you figure out, okay, who is your audience and how can you help? How can you affect? What messages are you getting to where you can use your platform to help? Yeah. I personally, not judging anyone, but I am not interested in celebrity activism to where I just tell people,
you don't want to do a video with a whole bunch of people.
Oh my God, that video was cringe.
I take a responsibility.
Oh my God, that video was cringe.
You don't want to grab a whole bunch of other blacks and do that?
I did Whitney Cummings podcast yesterday, and she showed it to me. I hadn't seen it because I've been like, let me take a little break from social media, whatever, because it's just a lot of information being put out right now. And she was like, oh, you haven't seen it? She was like, I don't want to upset you. Because Whitney Cummings is hilarious. But she's also like, I just don't want to make black people mad. Right. Like, she's literally, the whole entire podcast, I'd be like, Whitney, it's fine. You can ask the question. Like, it was hilarious. You're doing the work. You are getting the information yourself. So I am perfectly okay with you asking the question because you are informed. Right. But anyway, she shows it to me. And I laughed so uncomfortably. I was so uncomfortable. Like,
they mean so well.
Yeah, it was meant. It came from a good space. Yeah, you and me, you know, we
gonna get these jokes off though. That's black people. Like I can do two things at once, which is acknowledge your heart's in the right spot, and also we gonna get these jokes. They was acting harder than they have ever acted in their
It was like watching self-tape auditions back to back. And then why did it have to be in black and white? Why?
They don't see color.
But
got to be in black and white.
You're foolish.
I don't see color.
You are foolish. Yo, but shout out to hashtag booked for turning it around.
Amber.
Those are my girls, Lisa and Danielle.
I was not aware.
Yo.
And I am aware.
Hashtag booked is incredible. They are laughed so funny. They
Amber,
are, yes.
When I don't know her real name. I just know her Instagram name, and I don't want to mess it up. Body Courage.
Yeah, that's Danielle Pinnock.
Danielle, when she said, honey, can you turn that air fryer off?
Yes.
And then she came back and said, I'm doing the Black Lives Matter thing. Can we, even little stuff, when Lenisa said, is it portrait or landscape?
Portrait, you wanted portrait or landscape? Okay, no, I didn't remember the lines. Can you
just got it 2 hours ago.
I'm just going to read it.
It was the greatest joy. I watched it probably 150 times.
And it's hard because this is why, and let me explain why we're laughing.
Yeah.
And why we're kind of like laughing and rolling our eyes. Black people don't care about gestures at this point.
That's what makes it funny.
We don't want gestures. We want action.
Yes.
Show me it.
Yes.
Show me that you are. Show me that you're apologetic. So when you're on the next set, as a white woman actor and your black counterpart, make sure that she knows how much money it is that you're making, so she's making the same amount.
What I think is we're all out of anything but a quantifiable thing. Open your purse. Use your platform. Like I saw Lovey was doing a share the mic now.
Yeah,
all these white
that.
let me take over your Instagram.
I love
right?
that.
Because your followers are needed. There's only so much we can do. You have the platform. Katie Couric's platform is much bigger than Unique's. So her that's an actionable thing, right?
Yeah.
And I hope to see all these people do that, but until then, it was just hilarious.
That share the mic was amazing. I don't know which dog that is.
It's all right.
It's probably Chewy.
he want to get in here too. So,
but yeah, that was when I saw that they were doing that, I was like, that is action.
Yeah, and that's what we need.
Your audience is probably not my audience,
right?
And so me speaking to your audience and speaking my truth to your audience it's a clear message,
right? So
that now when you go back and you talk about it, they understand that
they got the language and they've got a trusted voice. Exactly. And it was a lot of them. Yeah. It was a lot of white women and it was a lot of black women I wasn't even aware of. So I know, I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how Hollywood can be different, because you're more in the industry than I am. We're in different industry. Digital media isn't as bad as Hollywood, right? Hollywood has it can be very tough. So talk to me, because the thing about this for you, this is dangerous. Yeah. Like, you're still a very young actress, right? Like, it's a dangerous position to take. Like, you're not, when you did this, it's not like you're guaranteed to do this. Like, you're guaranteed to work. Yeah. Like, for what you do, but somebody behind the closed doors will be like, oh, she started this, I'm gonna make sure that she doesn't work. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, because it's definitely risky to do this. So
first I want to say, I'm not the first person to do this. Monique was. Yeah. And everybody made fun of her. Yes. And everyone owes her an apology. I gonna go out there and say, can I say one thing? Yes. Here's what I was with Monique. I agreed, right? I just was like, well, I gotta boycott Netflix. Me, Kevin, personally. That's the only thing. The only thing is that why I got to, because Do you know why I said what I said? Why I'm saying this is because people don't listen to black people, but they especially don't listen to black women. 100. And when Monique came out, even if you didn't agree with the way that she came out or the way that she said it, if you know her personally and you just don't care for her or whatever the case may be, what she was doing was advocating for herself. Yes. And one thing that we have to learn as black people is to listen and be an amplifier. Yes. When someone is advocating for themselves. 100. It doesn't matter if you thought that she was asking too much. Who are you to tell her that she is not worth what it is she's asking for? No, you're right. You're speaking to me, because I was one. Yeah, and I was too. I was like, girl, but an Oscar is not blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But now I'm like, I completely we owe her a public apology. Yeah. Because she was the start. And even with this Unmutiny was not started by anything that happened with me. It happened with Samantha Ware. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that. So Samantha Ware was on Glee with me, and she is the one that called out Leah. Okay, yes. I didn't know much about the backstory behind that, but I remember she's the one who called out Leah Michelle. Yeah, she's the one who was like, hold up now. She basically did the Twitter, this you. Yeah. Like, I know you ain't talking because you actually personally made my life harder. That's what she did. And when I saw that, I was like, I am no longer going to be silent and let a black woman take all of this backlash, because she was getting death threats, and she was getting for speaking out, because of Leah's fan base, saying whatever, basically saying my platform is a little bit bigger than Samantha's. I was an original on the show.
Yeah.
So I am going to be it. I did it in a funny way.
Yeah. I saw the funny thing is I saw your GIF and I didn't click. It didn't click until later, and I was like,
because I didn't add her. I didn't do any of that. But people knew what I was saying, and I'm very careful about what it is that I say and what it is that I don't say, because my career is never going to be about someone's downfall.
Yeah.
Like I'm not about that. But learning and growing, understanding that I dealt with what I talked about last time was depression and anxiety, and learning and growing. I've also learned that love also looks like rebuke and correction. It also looks like that too.
Yeah.
So me having a bigger platform, me being on the show, how I responded is the way that I responded, because I didn't want her to take that backlash alone.
Yeah.
Our experiences, I didn't experience what she said happened. I wasn't there. Therefore.
Yeah.
But I experienced what she has experienced.
Absolutely.
I was on that show for 6 seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the only person that really spoke out,
Yeah.
And told that truth.
Absolutely.
So I was very careful also because, she's pregnant and I'm not really trying to add anything else, any stress or anything like that. And I'm over it. I've gone through my therapy and I've gotten through it. But when Samantha did that, I was like, I'm going to stand with her. No way I'm going to let another black woman tell her truth and have a bunch of white people be in her mentions, threatening her life.
Yeah.
And calling her a liar. And no.
And the crazy thing is, just you coming to her defense with the GIF. The GIF defense was enough for that to turn the tide.
Yeah.
And then Leah had to be like, oh, you know what? I was tripping. Then that video came out, or you and her were talking. And it's just funny because she was talking, you didn't even say nothing. And black people was like, Amber, don't look comfortable. That's what I'm talking about. But you know what, Amber? I can honestly say, this part I can attest to. There's a lot of times where when you're black, you don't feel comfortable in Hollywood, in meetings, and you feel like if it feels like you barely got in anyway. So if I do anything,
I don't want to rock the boat.
I'm gonna be out.
I don't want to shake the table.
Shake the table. Especially as a black woman, you have the stereotype of you're loud and this and that, and and there's only so many black people at a time. You know what I mean? And there's all this. So for you to be like, nah, that wasn't even my experience, which is. I don't want to veer this away, but this is what my beef with Terry Crews was about Gabrielle Union.
Oh, no, we can talk about it.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Gabrielle is actually a part of the Unmutiny movement.
All we wanted from Terry, if he'd said what you just said, that hasn't been my experience personally, but if Gabrielle says that's true, then I got her back. That's all. Or don't say nothing.
That's that you didn't need to say anything.
But what you said hurt.
And I also want to point out that. And I kind of went in my Whitney Cummings interview yesterday on Terry Crews. I went in.
Terry deserves to be gone in.
No, because I've been quiet for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been real cool.
Yeah,
I've been super cool. I have kept. You know what my personality actually is.
Yeah,
and it isn't like it didn't differ from what I put out, but it definitely was like, I'm not going to give this world all of me because that will deplete me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it is. Now everybody's getting.
Everybody can get.
They're getting 100%,
right?
And now you get it because I'm just not afraid. One, I know that God has me. Two, I see black people unifying and coming together, and I feel like I have the support of black people. Absolutely, you know what I'm saying. So when I talked about Terry Crews, I saw his tweet immediately. I responded.
Yes.
Because I'm like, listen, black supremacy does not exist. And I understand what you're saying, but the way that you said it is divisive.
Yeah.
You're instilling fear in black and white people.
Yep. By
saying that our goal is to be over them or do what it is that they have done. We are unlearning the stuff that white people have done. Yes. We're unlearning the violence. We're unlearning punishment. There are a lot of black people that are learning, spanking my kids or whatever could be traumatic for them. And
Absolutely.
I could have learned, from the trauma of my parents, and that comes from whipping, because our initial
I had to go through that.
Yeah.
And I had to really
being
ask myself,
violence.
why am I hitting my child?
Yeah.
Well, because my mom hit me, but why did she hit? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I realized we was hitting each other because a Korean friend told me that. He said he was poor. He was like, I think a lot of it was our parents didn't have a lot of time to raise us. So I got to use fear because I got to go to work.
But that's also, if we understand and we go back to slavery, and people want us to forget slavery, but you have to understand that these Africans were put on a boat, brought over here, it took 3 months on the boat for them to
somewhere
get here.
between three and 5, depending.
Laying in each other's feces, laying in each other's, urine, laying in each other's throw up, in filth, laying next to dead bodies.
Yes.
Not knowing what is going on.
Absolutely.
Getting to the places wherever they were placed in the South.
Yep.
To build, to grow what it is that slaves did. With no understanding of why they're there or how they are there, but the only thing that they knew how to respond to was violence and fear.
Yes.
If I don't do this, they're going to hit me. So I am going to react out of fear because of violence. And as we went on, we started to understand, violence gets results. Violence helps me understand that if I get hit, they will understand that I mean business, because they didn't know the language.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't know the language. They didn't know Portuguese, but they know pain.
Yeah.
So understanding that, and understanding that violence was taught to us to get us results. And I don't bash anybody for whooping their kids, because there's a couple of kids that I know that need they whoop one good time.
Right.
And then they'll be straight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not knocking you if that's what it is, but I'm saying, like, when is it that you're doing it?
Yeah.
Is it
a lot of times you do it out of anger.
Yeah, and frustration.
Your job. And what happens a lot of times is you sometimes beat the ability to stand up for yourself out of your child. And then they need that voice later. Or you don't want to question authority because you were taught never to question authority. And you stay in a child's place and you never know when to come out of that. You know what I mean? So anyway, we can go on that for all day. But I'm raising my kids to without beating them. And what it means is what we were taught talking back, that's just answering just talking.
Absolutely.
Is talking back.
Anything that I say as an adult to my mother or my father, they feel like I'm arguing.
Yeah.
In response to what it is that they say.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm arguing. I'm expressing how I feel about what it is that you said.
Yes.
And it's not me being, grown and like not wanting to listen. I need you to see my side too.
Yeah. And guess what, Amber? You know what I realized raising these two boys? I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm wrong a lot, actually. Like, often I read it wrong. I don't have all the information. And when you allow them to actually say that, it's much better to be like, oh, he was wrong. He apologized. He adjusted. Now they can learn to do that, as opposed to I'm going to do the right thing and you shut up. I'm never wrong. Then they're like, okay, well, he just don't care.
They're going to be such well-adjusted human beings. Because if all you're teaching them is violence, and then they go outside of their house and all they're trying to do is avoid violence, police, teachers, like,
it's dangerous.
That's all they're gonna know. And that goes to what you're saying, that even in your home, that goes to ending black silence.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing is, Amber, like, I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, I just want to make it completely clear. For the most part, right, this is risky for you because white people are the ones who decide if you get the job.
100%.
Right?
We don't own anything.
We're not there. There's some Asians, but not many, right? Not as many as white people. They're the directors. They're the studio heads. They're the network execs. So it's very easy to squash that. Like, it's very easy to quell that thing. Like when John Boyega was speaking out and Gabrielle Union speaking out, that's dangerous because it could be like, oh, this difficult to work with. and nobody's going to question you, because even the white people are like, well, I don't want to lose my job. So I'm not, if you say Amber Riley's, she has this whole thing that could be dangerous. Well, I mean, even if that was your homegirl or a white girl was a white ally, it's different to be an ally when it can cost you something.
Yeah.
Like if it can cost me my job, then shoot, yeah, actually Amber do be tripping.
And guess what? Activism, if you're not risking anything, it ain't activism.
You're absolutely right.
It's performance.
Yes.
It's performative.
Yes.
What Mayor Garcetti did downtown, taking a knee and walking, that was performative.
Right.
Good job.
Yeah, the police take the knee and then 30 minutes later beat you up and arrest you. Like, we needed that photo op.
Netta, who was on the front lines of Ferguson, who is an activist and a good friend of mine, literally posted, "We thought that was a thing. Listen to us. This was eight years ago."
Mike Brown?
Ferguson.
I'm not sure exactly how, but it's been a couple years ago. I think Trayvon Martin was 2012, I believe.
So it was about 8 years ago.
Was it already, Nate? Oh, yeah, it's 2020.
Yeah. It was about 8 years ago, I think. And she was saying, in our first...
It was 2014.
6 years ago.
Yeah. I think Trayvon was 8 years ago.
First attempt of we're, getting the police to understand. She said the same. She had the picture, the photo op.
Really?
Of him kneeling and then literally the next day spraying them.
Wow.
So I know that black people, you gotta stay mad. I'm sorry. I know that this is against. Oh, we don't even want to talk about the church right now because I am so pissed off at church right now. I literally.
Talk about whatever you feel like.
My pastor is about it, and I love her. I love both of my pastors.
Yeah.
I go to Hope's house. They talk about it. They understand there are different races in our church, so that's not something. But these white churches,
white evangelicals, overwhelmingly vote for Trump and agree with a lot of his policies, and Christianity, call it what it was.
Yeah.
It was the same thing that was used to keep enslaved people enslaved.
Exactly.
So of course, if that's what you were taught and you believe, then that's also, it's not surprising that a lot of evangelicals are completely against abortion, right? But see no problem with a black man dying at the hands of police. Like, if you say all lives matter, then that baby, or fetus matters, but also George Floyd should matter too. But we don't because
all lives matter had nothing to do with all lives.
No,
matter.
It's white lives matter.
It was an answer to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, nobody ever said all lives matter until Black Lives Matter became a thing, and it's a way to take away from Black lives. Black Lives Matter is not even saying all lives don't matter.
Right.
It's saying, hey, our lives matter too, but it doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
When we get killed by police, nothing seems to happen. So can we just say, like Michael Shea said, we're just arguing matter.
Yeah.
Not our better than, not more.
That's why
can we just start with matter?
That's why the message that Terry Crews bothered me so much, and I answered to it so quickly.
Yeah.
Black supremacy does not exist.
No.
I, a person who is actively trying to be an active citizen and advocate for my people, show up to city hall meetings or the Zoom meetings, show up to town hall meetings, show up to protest, speak to organizers, all of those things. Not one time has anyone said Black supremacy is a goal. Right. You just created something, and you know how many likes that his tweet got?
It was insane. And that spoke to fear. And fear is the reason a lot of the stuff happens to us is because of fear.
I retweeted and was like, Black people, do not be this. Because when your balls got grabbed, sir, Black women were the one that was advocating for you while Black men was making fun of you.
Yes.
Black women were the ones that was advocating for you. So for you to do that to Gabrielle Union, to go out of your way and tap dance on that show, man, that talk show, to say, well, I've never had that. Just because you've never had that experience doesn't mean that her experience wasn't real. And what you just did as a Black man to a Black woman, you literally just gave people a reason to negate her argument.
Absolutely. You're harmful.
You're not helping.
And I'm telling you, that's one thing I'm realizing in my own life too, is like, I have to go to bat for black women as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Too. And whatever it costs me, it doesn't matter. Because everything I have is because of black women, my wife, my mom, my community. So even me, like, and I was a little blind to it. I literally just understood for the first time because of my cousin who's a black woman what intersectionality means.
Yeah.
Like clearly, like I was trying to do some research and stuff, but it wasn't clicking easily. And I'm like, dang, Kev, all you really have going against you is that you're black. At least I'm a man. Like when it comes to like what happens in discrimination.
We all have our certain privileges.
Yeah.
That we have to recognize. And within I'm glad that you brought that up. Even within the black community, there were 2 black trans women who died over the last couple of days. One was 25.
Was Tony Dade or Tony McDade?
So Tony McDade, it was a trans man
who
was killed by police.
Okay.
It was told that he had mental issues. He went on, it was said that he had mental issues. He went on Facebook and he kind of, was going off on Facebook about how he wanted to die. He had just, but people also weren't taking into account what had just happened to him. He just got out of jail. He got in a car accident. The girl that was riding with him left him. Riding for him left him. He was jumped for being a trans man. He someone said that he actually slit somebody's throat, like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old's throat. But it was very clear that he wasn't. He just wasn't there. He wasn't all there. And the police shoot first and ask questions. They ask questions later. And it was from what I'm reading, because there are different stories, because that's what the media does, mixed messaging. Yeah. From what I'm reading, there was no warning. There was a shot with no warning at all.
Right.
And then there's these 2 trans women. They were killed in Philadelphia and Cincinnati. Dominique Fales, who was 27 years old. And Raya Milton is 25 years old. Nobody talks about these, and now we have the Black Trans Lives Matter, when it should all be under the same umbrella. And let me not. I had this conversation with 2 of my friends that are gay last night, and I said I still grapple with the fact that I am a Christian and I believe in the Word of God. I am now expanding my mind. I have been within the last year. In talking to God and being like, yo, I don't really understand this. And I think because the church shies away from having this conversation with the LGBTQ community and not even having the wherewithal to face them and talk about the issues and how they have been treated, it makes it really hard. It's a very, very touchy subject. Completely.
And it's unlearned. You have to unlearn, like in one way you're learning Jesus loved everyone.
Yes.
Right? But what's being modeled for you is that, well, this specific group we don't really talk about.
If you act this way, then Jesus loves this group. But y'all, we don't, because it can't be that way in a movement, a Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
We can't just advocate for some. And I talk to my Black male friends about this stuff all the time. It will speak volumes if you support that community, because supporting that community, intersectionality, supporting that community supports us. Yeah. Letting them know, hey, Black people are unifying as a whole. Right. It's not you agreeing or not agreeing with someone's lifestyle. It is you understanding that was a life that was taken. And the attitude, and you disagreeing with the attitude that people have toward trans people, you disagreeing with that attitude as a straight Black man, that's going to help stop the violence. Absolutely. Within our community. So people are arguing, and I know I'm going on like a little bit of a tangent, but people are arguing within our community about, whoa, they're just being divisive by having their own, own thing, and why not just let blah blah? Because they see one another dying at an alarming rate. Right. An alarming rate for existing. Yeah. And I checked on my trans friends this morning during this movement, and they're afraid. Yeah. Them walking out of the door and walking in their truth as trans people, that in itself is activism.
Right. Just getting out and walking outside.
They're a target as soon as they walk out the door.
Yeah.
So Black people, we have to come together within all of our differences. And I actually and Netta, who I was talking about earlier, who is an activist, she has hooked me up with some clergymen, some priests, and some pastors who do talk about this in churches and stuff, and talk about theology behind it. And I am in no way a minister or a theologist. Like, everybody has their own theology. You talk to one pastor, they got one theology. You talk to another pastor, they got another one. You know, I try to move in according to the spirit and what God tells me. And for me as an activist, I am going to support all Black people and all lives. Yeah. Because if all lives matter, if Black lives matter, all Black lives have to matter.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. I feel like I was telling my wife, I haven't learned this much in like since college. Yeah. Like I had to read an academics paper to understand intersectionality. Like the woman who wrote the paper, I had to read that and be like, oh my gosh, and then see myself in it, and then do something about it. Right. And that's a lot of steps that we're asking. And that's what we're asking of everyone, of Black people, white people, Christian people,
Black people, white people, Christian people, all of us, men, women. I had to look in the mirror and face my own homophobia.
Absolutely.
How am I saying to my white male friends, white silence is violence, but I also have gay friends that I haven't advocated for when it comes to their own freedoms. Right. And I know this is touchy, and I know, people in your comments is finna go up because you got the churchiest, most ratchet. Listen. You have like the churchiest.
We got the back pews locked. We in there, but we last to get in there and first to tip out.
I'm here to challenge people to really challenge your inner how you treat other people. If we're asking, and I'm not saying that it's the same thing. I'm talking about intersectionality. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's the same struggle. The struggle that a Black man has is different from the struggle that a Black woman has, is different from the struggle that a Black trans woman is going to have, it's different from a struggle that a Black trans man is going to have. Yeah. Those even. Trans men and trans women even have different struggles. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And not that I know and am a spokesperson, but these are just my own feelings and my own views and things that I have just been trying to work with, because I have so many, I love people.
Yeah, and I think that's what, the thing about Jesus, right? Not the Christianity, the religion, but about Jesus. If you look at the life of Jesus, he was always persecuted by the church for loving people. Yep. It was the adulterous woman when it was the church saying stone her. It was the thing that Jesus railed against almost all the time was the Pharisees and the Sadducees, which was the legalism of the church that didn't see the person. It saw the law, but not the person. Right. So if you're upset with me, you can be. Please welcome. Join the fun.
We don't really care.
But listen. Jesus was about love to people more than anything. He said, love thy neighbor as thyself. It was all love. So if you want to tell me that I can't love these people, like they got on me for having Ask a Trans person. I had to ask a trans woman early last year.
I know. I watched it.
They lit me up. On Facebook.
And it's fine. Your hatred and your homophobia is showing.
Right. And how can we lead them to, let's say it's my job as a Christian to lead you to Christ. And let's say I disagree with you believing you can even be trans or gay or whatever. That's the position that you take, which is what the commenters were taking. And I'm supposed to lead them to Christ. How could I even lead someone to Christ if I couldn't have one conversation with them? If I couldn't welcome them to my home? Hey, you want a bottle of water? Let's talk. Let me understand how you see the world. How can you lead someone to Christ without love? It's impossible. To say you're wrong, that's never going to lead someone to Christ. And we don't do that with other stuff we disagree with. Yeah. If someone is have children out of wedlock, we no problem leading with love, because this we understand. Oh, having sex before marriage? Oh shoot, I did that.
I do that all the time.
All the time. And that's what we see. Like, we do that all the time. So it's cool. But if it's something different, It's not cool, and you're going straight to hell. Well, if that's the case, there's a lot of people going to hell, and we know we have no problem with this, that, and that.
We don't do it to liars. We don't do it to ourselves.
And the Bible says liar has their own special part in hell. Says liars. We be lying.
We do.
I be lying.
Yeah,
a lot of myself as much as anybody else.
We do be
lying. How many times am I going to say I'm going to work out again and eat right? I'm sick of my lies, but it's the truth. So. I think if nothing else we learn from this interview, and I don't want to cut you short and I want you to get everything else out. I think what we all have to do right now is check our privilege and listen, learn, adapt, change.
Yes.
Right. I think this and listen, my platform is for that. Right. Yeah. People come for the comedy, but the thing is, like, we got to live in this world, though. Like, I can't just make jokes about it. I don't feel funny when I see black people dying. Right. And I just couldn't live with myself if I was out here just being quiet and just making people laugh when there's other things to speak on.
Back to just blackness in general. I just want people to be more open-minded.
Yes.
And I want people to be less fearful.
Right.
About learning.
Yeah.
Just learning.
Just listen, learn.
I had to sit and listen and learn when I met, trans people. My friend MJ Rodriguez is a trans woman, and we're really close. We did Little Shop of Horrors together, and she's like my sister.
Yeah.
Now, just sitting and listening to her story, listening to her heart, like, you have to see a human being and be a human being and respect them. And it's baby steps, you know what I'm saying? Because we have been conditioned in church so much to believe and think a certain way, and if you don't do this, the fear of going to hell, hellfire and brimstone and all those kind of things, we have been conditioned. But imagine what a trans person that's been conditioned that way feels, or a gay person that's been condition.
And the crazy thing is, Amber, there's gay people in the church.
Yeah, they're gay pastors.
There's gay people,
ministers
everywhere.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's not even like that much of a secret.
Nope.
We just be like, all right, like, it's funny, not funny, but the stereotypical choir director trope, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
And without gay people, we would not even have gospel music. We really wouldn't. Any way, shape, or form.
No.
Like, let's just stop.
Yeah.
Like, please, let's just stop.
And it becomes an issue when I don't like we'll use your gift but deny your humanity.
I literally said that same thing. I said, man, who was I talking to? I said this. I literally wrote it down. It was Yvonne. To take my art but refuse my humanity is not to see me at all.
I used to say, people would ask me to sing at their events, but wouldn't advertise me or, push me forward like they did the other ones that they felt were bigger than me. You're not going to prostitute my gift.
Right. That's a churchy phrase.
It is. It's so churchy, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to add me to your program because you know that I bring value to your stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not trying to promote me or add any value to me or uplift me because you want me to stay where I am.
Absolutely.
You would love for me to stay here so that you can utilize that happened to me. The last time that happened to me, I did a really big event and I was told I would be advertised and I did it for free and I was kind of none of that. I got 3 standing ovations in my set.
Oh, wow.
Other than all the other people that 3 standing ovations in my set.
Wow. So I'm curious about this. What does life, if you even have it figured out, what does life look like moving forward with this movement? Now, what is going to change for you?
I'm fully okay with being blackballed because I am now doing this for my niece who is 9 years old and tells me she wants to be just like me and she's going to be a huge actor and she's going to be bigger than me on television and movies and she's going to dance and she's going to write and she's going to direct. That's who I'm doing it for at this point. I've made my money.
Yeah.
I've saved.
Yeah.
You know, I can go into production and nobody even knows that it's me and make more money.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
That's amazing.
I'm not really worried about being blackballed at this point. A quarantine has done something so amazing for so many people, because people have had to sit and listen and sit in their own shit.
Yeah.
Basically, and smell themselves. We've all had to do it. We have, and I just realized, like, I can't be quiet and afraid anymore.
Right.
I can't be upset with other people's opinions about stuff that I say anymore.
Yeah.
When it's the truth. I'm going to speak the truth. I always try to speak the truth in love, even if it comes off as correction. I'm always going to speak the truth.
Listen, I appreciate it. I'm looking, I'm learning. I'm trying to be better myself. I hope you watching this and listening, you're probably going to have heard something that you might not have, expected. And I hope you take the time to listen and learn your own self. You know what I'm saying? Before you rush to judgment. If you rush to judgment, it's fine. I'm a big boy. I'm almost 40 years old. I can take some disagreement. I can take some unfollowing. Because at the end of the day, like, here's what I realized. At the end of the day, I have to live with myself. And I cannot live, right? I can't. The only way I've had any success is being who I really am, right? I can't create a version of me that I think is palatable for you or people, because at the end of the day, I'll be living a lie. So if you disagree with my thoughts, the one thing about me is I usually, where I am the day I make that video, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
With the information I had. Now, what I've learned, and 3 years from now, I'll be more knowledgeable about stuff. 5 years, 10 years, but you'll always be knowing me. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to look at ourselves and see what we can do. Like Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And I feel like that's it's a song we all know, and it's kind of a joke and cliche, but really that's almost what you really have to do.
You got to start with yourself.
Yeah.
I would have never, if I never had the mental breakdown, which was really a spiritual awakening for me, if I never would have had that, then I never would have become so, I think it's introspective when you say within yourself. Yeah. I never would have become introspective in really seeing what it was that was bothering me, really seeing the issues that I was dealing with. I never would have gotten to that place if I didn't start in isolation. I completely isolated myself from everyone. And I understood, okay, the reason sometimes you stayed silent is because in the moment you deal with anxiety, so you freeze up, and fear overtakes you, and it keeps you from speaking. But I've learned to push past that and understand that that's just an issue. I feel things very deeply. I am not an empath. Everybody wants to say that they are an empath. I discern things in the spirit very, very easily. And I feel in the atmosphere when things are going to change and rise. I felt all of this happening before it happened. I felt when I got Glee, I felt that happening before it even happened. Wow. Like, I knew something in me was just like, no, this is going to be really big. Wow, I'm excited to be a part of this. What I'm doing with Unmutiny, it's very outside of what I would normally do. Starting a movement because I felt like I didn't have a voice and nobody wanted to listen to me. Are you kidding me? My self-esteem and self-worth was so low. Wow. As a black kid, even the first time that I tried to commit suicide, I was 11.
Oh my gosh.
So I dealt with depression and anxiety even in that age, but that's not what it was called. It was called being dramatic. Yeah. And now things have evolved and people understand mental health and mental illness, which I like to just say mental health issues, because I don't believe that anybody is. I know that we all have the labels that they say that we have, and that's just categorizing them helps them to treat it. Yes. But it's really just trauma that you just haven't dealt with.
Absolutely. In therapy, one of the things that I realize more and more is so much of who you are as an adult was framed with who you were as a child and how you took stuff and how you internalized it or how it motivated you. And the worst part, at least for me, some of my success came from trauma. Like, oh, you treated me this way.
Most comedians have,
You made me feel abandoned. I will show you. I will show you all, like on some villain type stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and even when that no longer serves me, it's like Michael Jordan in the sense, like, you really will create stuff to
have opposition so that you can feel alive.
Oh, when I was watching that, I was like, he's not that crazy, because I absolutely do that, you know. So I'm glad to have this conversation with you, and I don't think it has to be the only conversation. Like, I feel like my platform, what I hope it to be, is a place for you to learn and laugh. And some days it'll be more learning than laughing. There's been it goes a long time before I had to talk about anything but things that are funny. So at this time in life, this is life right now. And the movement, civil rights movement, that was like 13 years.
Yeah. Are the people that were affected by that or a part of it are marching today?
Still.
They're like,
still, my grandma was Irish. She was like, this is starting to remind me of the 60s.
Yep.
It's starting to remind me, like, I've seen this before, you know what I mean? And she's 70 something, you know what I mean? She's, 70 years old. So they're not like, oh yeah, this was way back nah, these people are alive. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't want this to be a one-time conversation. You can always let me know.
Come back.
What you want to talk about, when you want to talk about it. And guys, where can they go to learn more? Is that set up yet?
It's not. The first action item that we're doing right now is literally #unmutiny, UNMUTENY.
Okay.
And just telling your stories, and you can follow Unmutiny on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter for it yet.
Okay.
And you can just put your stories under that hashtag, and I promise you, I cannot divulge what it is that we're doing because it is so huge. And the last strategy meeting that we had, we were in there for 6 hours.
Wow.
So what we are doing, people will be held accountable. People will understand why Black silence has to end.
Yeah.
And it is going to change the culture of Hollywood.
This is my Hollywood right here. This office.
Listen, but you know what? This being your Hollywood and having ownership is the goal.
Yeah. So my Patreon, I actually hadn't made this video yet because I wanted to wait till I did a couple more things. But because of Patreon, I can literally pay actors and actresses to be in videos. I'm developing some movies, and I can, like, when I learned about intersectionality, I went and took a movie that I had tabbed a Black man to write. And I said, hey, I love you. We already got projects we're working on. I'm going to take this from you, and I'm going to go out and give this to a Black woman writer. Like, that's what I can do. And you can't blackball an owner. I'm not in Hollywood to begin with. What you gonna do? Stop me from? I ain't booked nothing.
Ownership is hard.
You can't take me out of it. Like, you can't stop my own YouTube page. Now, if Google turns my YouTube page off, then I'm gonna put it on Facebook. They all turn that on. It's gonna be on Kevonstage.com. And if you take all that, I'll scream it from the rooftops.
I just want to. Can I leave with this quote by Malcolm X that I think is
absolutely
will encourage people to keep fighting.
Yes.
This is not a moment. This is a movement. Movement means moving forward in a direction, and where we're moving to is equality, equity, freedom, and our own communities growing. So this is, when it comes to the performative things that government is doing to placate Black people, I want you to remember this. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. And that's my answer to the 8 Can't Wait campaign. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. Progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even pulled the knife out, much less healed the wound. They don't even admit the knife is there. Man.
Crazy how long ago that was that he said that, and how fitting it is for still right now.
We've evolved. As people, we've evolved. Racism has evolved also. It has learned how to navigate as we have evolved.
That's so true.
We have not made progress.
Right.
Because our government, we've never had a president sit and stand and say, hey, for all of the black people that are here, we apologize for slavery and how you have been treated, and that it's never happened. We're going to start changing things. We're going to start changing the systems that we built that were built against you and for us.
Yes. That's real change.
They won't even admit the knife is there.
Right.
So until they do that, there is no progress.
Absolutely.
Defund the police.
Defund the police.
Hashtag defund the police. And I'll leave it there because we could talk about that too.
It's another episode of Unmutiny. We will talk about it there. Research, learn, love, evolve, change. I'm Kevonstage. This is Amber P. Riley. Follow her as well, Miss Amber P. Riley on Instagram. And Unmute Me.
Unmutiny.
Unmutiny. I knew I was going to mess up at least one time.
It's a play on words. It's like a mutiny, unmutiny, unmutiny. It's all
I'll tag it in the description box below. Josh, put it in the description box below. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.